Last November, liberal Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown of Ohio won a third term, and he did so by 6 points in a state that Donald Trump won by 8. And that victory in Ohio prompted all kinds of speculation about Sherrod Brown's potential as a presidential candidate. Brown himself told the Washington Post, quote, "I really wasn't thinking seriously about this until the day after the election." At least 6 Democrats have indicated they intend to run in 2020. Senator Elizabeth Warren, Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, former HUD Secretary Julian Castro, Congressman John Delaney, former West Virginia State Senator Richard Ojeda, and Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, who just announced her run in an interview that airs later tonight on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Which brings us back to Senator Sherrod Brown, who is here with me exclusively tonight and has an announcement of his own. Senator Sherrod Brown, welcome. What are you up to?
Well, thank you, Chris. As you know, and all the times on this show, and we've known each other for a while, I've spent my entire Senate career fighting for the dignity of work. As you pointed out, we won a state by a comfortable margin that Trump had won overwhelmingly. So I'm announcing tonight on this show that I'm planning a Dignity of Work listening tour kicking off in Cleveland, and then the 1st of February going to Iowa with my wife, Connie Schultz, to Iowa and New Hampshire and Nevada and South Carolina. And what I want to accomplish is I want to continue to learn about the dignity of work from everybody, from whether you swipe a card, whether you punch a clock, whether you work for tips, whether you work on salary, whether you're taking care of kids. And I want to hear from people around, and I want this conversation and this Dignity of Work tour to encourage my colleagues running for president that this should be the narrative. If you fight, it's the best way to govern, fighting for the dignity of work, and it's the best way to win elections.
Look, your colleagues running for president. So you're going to go to Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, and South Carolina, which are the 4 first states in the primary schedule. That sounds like you are running for president.
Well, Connie and I have not made that decision. We will make that decision in the weeks ahead. I said right after the election, as more and more people began to talk to me, we began to notice that national Democrats and some pundits say that Democrats, they kind of make this a choice. Either Democrats talk to progressives, to the progressive base, or they talk to workers, working class families, regardless of race. To me, you've got to do both. That's how we won Ohio. You've got to talk to workers. You've got to have that progressive message. You talk to workers regardless of what kind of work they do. You do it without compromise on women's rights and civil rights and gay rights and workers' rights. And that's what we've done in Ohio. I think that because Ohio is in so many ways the #1 swing state in the country, a message that works there, the dignity of work, works everywhere.
Well, that's sort of the question, right? I mean, you are someone who has run statewide many times in Ohio, and I think just as a descriptive matter have had tremendous political success, even in a time when that state has become more Republican and more conservative. Those are just what the numbers bear out. You managed to win again this year. Do you think that exports everywhere? Does that message, and you're an Ohio boy, born and raised, you've got a very deep connection to the state that you've cultivated over many, many years as an elected official in that state, does it translate?
Yeah, a woman working at a diner in Sioux City, Iowa, or working as a physical therapist in Concord, New Hampshire, or working in Reno, Nevada as a construction worker, or working in Charleston, South Carolina as a computer operator, or working in an insurance company. All of us in government need to respect and honor the dignity of work. We don't do that. That's one reason wages have lagged behind. Me. We've seen corporate profits go up. We've seen productivity of workers go up. We've seen executive compensation explode, and wages are flat. That's frankly because this government in Washington, especially the president, the president of the White House looks like a retreat for Wall Street executives. This president has betrayed workers, whether it's GM workers at Lordstown in Ohio or it's workers that are working construction in Nevada. He has betrayed workers, and the message of dignity of work will work for any Democratic nominee that comes down the line in the next several months.
I want to get to 2 things quickly. One, the strike in Los Angeles. When you talk about dignity of work, the largest labor action happening in the United States right now is the strike by the teachers there in Los Angeles. I saw you come out in support for it. Do you support that strike?
Yeah, I support those teachers. And you know who else supports those teachers, and what I think tells you about how the country is moving more towards understanding the importance of collective bargaining, the importance of pensions, the importance of the dignity of work, is a lot of students joined those teachers on those picket lines walking in and out of the school. So I think that it's young people especially that are changing this debate. Look at these new, particularly female women of color in Congress. But I talked to a young to two women today from Nevada, from Iowa, two freshmen members of Congress that were elected this year. And I talked to, and they're seeing a change. They're seeing that we're respecting and honoring work more. This Congress is different. This country's becoming different. I think the Los Angeles teacher strike proves that.
The preparations to run for president are obviously large, and you're sort of undertaking them whether you get on the off-ramp or not. I saw there are people undertaking on the other side. This is an item from BuzzFeed. 2 days after you won your third Senate term in Ohio last November, an operative from American Rising, which is a conservative Oppo research group, sent a public records request for Kent State University, where your wife, Connie Schultz, teaches several journalism courses. The group sought Schultz's contracts and performance evaluations. Kent State responded 20 days later with 37 pages of documents. Do you have a comment on them starting to look at Connie Schultz's, your wife's career right away?
Well, I think it says a number of things. First, it says how great Connie is, how accomplished she is, how smart she is, how well she works social media, what a terrific writer she is. People all over the country know that. The other thing is they take my potential candidacy seriously. And the third thing it says is they will be dirty, they will be nasty. I've seen Karl Rove come into my races. And each time I've run, I know what he's up to. I know that, and when I think about Donald Trump, I know that bullies are always cowards, and we will be ready if it comes to that.
All right, Senator Sherrod Brown, thanks for making the time.
Glad to. Thanks.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.